Believe that we all have the power within us to dream telepathically.
There's been psychic dreams forever, talked about as anecdotes. But were these just grandmother stories, or could these really be proven?
If we are to understand the workings of the human brain and nervous system better, it's very important that we understand dreaming, because this is one of the most unusual activities of the brain and the central nervous system.
Part of the way that a skeptic would explain the compelling nature of these so-called dream prophecies is that they aren't as prophetic as we think. We dream about a whole bunch of stuff.
To assume that the dream really does predict something in the future is to make an enormous leap in interpretation.
My life was really saved by his dream. There's nothing more bottom line than that. I would not be here if it were not for Ed's dream.
Rita Dwyer is past president of the Association for the Study of Dreams in Vienna, Virginia. A chemist by profession, Rita had a promising career in the aerospace industry. Then in 1959, something incredible happened to Rita that changed her life and convinced her of the power of dreams.
I was working in the aerospace field in the late 50s. I had been working in a rather large glass apparatus behind shields. And I raised one shield and pushed another aside, and the thing exploded right into me, so that my upper body was flaming. My safety glasses were melted into my hair, and I couldn't see to help myself. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to last very long, because I could feel myself just going, and I lost consciousness.
Rita's co-worker, Ed Butler, miraculously appearing in the right place at the right time, pulled Rita from the flames and saved her life.
When I came to, I was in the arms of a technician, and I thought that he had saved my life. But it turns out that a co-worker had saved my life. And when I tried to thank him and tell him that he was a hero, he refuses that kind of credit, because he had dreamt of the accident, of saving me in exact detail several times before it happened. And so he looks upon his dreams as rehearsals, and he just being the agent of my rescue. It's weird, but it's true. Had it not happened to me, I've told people that if I heard that story from someone else, particularly in those days, I would not have believed it. But it happened to me, and I'm here because of it.
Ed Butler's prophetic dream did more than save Rita. It inspired her. Over the past 20 years, Rita has had clairvoyant dreams that have predicted major events in the lives of people close to her, and those she has never met.
When Mount St. Helens erupted, I had a dream, and I woke up my husband, and I said, "Oh, a volcano is going to erupt." And it seemed as if a thunder or a storm was coming through. It was very dark, and there was lightning, and all of a sudden this mountain exploded, and the lava started pouring down and coming towards us. In my dream, I was just trying to escape from this. And I thought, this dream is going to happen. I know it will happen.
When Dwyer awoke, the morning paper brought a startling revelation.
And I went out to the breakfast table, and the Washington Post was there, and there was a story saying that the magma was starting to become active at Mount St. Helens. But I still knew that that place was going to erupt. I knew it. I just knew it from the quality of the dream and the emotion I had. And about a month later, it did. And when the stories came out, a couple of them talked of there being lightning at the tip of the mountain before the actual eruption. So to me, it gave direct credibility to my dream that a source from outside of me had seen something that I had seen, like 3 weeks or a month ahead.
Certainly, dream prophecies is sort of one of the most interesting cases of the kind of evidence that motivate people to believe in ESP.
Dr. Tom Gilovich is a professor of psychology at Cornell University and an expert on the laws of probability.
There are just lots of examples of people who've had some sort of premonition that something's going to happen, and then something like what they dreamed about then happens. And for anyone who's experienced that, it's very hard for a skeptic to say to that individual, look, there really isn't anything going on there.
No one can tell Alan Vaughan that dreams aren't prophetic. Vaughan was a student in Germany in mid-May 1968 when he began to have disturbing dreams.
Robert Kennedy was here with a bunch of young people. He'd just given his speech. And then he went into a corridor that was connecting into other rooms, and in the dream I became Robert Kennedy. We were walking along. A party was planning. It was a good mood. Now, in reality, behind an ice machine was hiding Saran Saran.
Many psychologists tell us that dreams are the product of our unconscious mind and offer clues to our everyday behavior. But are dreams more powerful than that? Can they foretell events? Can they be a way of communicating with others?
Mysterious forces beyond met Vaughn at the scene of his fateful dream, the now vacant Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, site of Robert Kennedy's assassination in 1968.
And I hope that we have as good fortune in our campaign.
In the dream, I saw Robert Kennedy surrounded by young admirers, and then he was walking through a corridor connecting into another room, dirt shifting down. And then there was a killer hiding in the dark, and he came out. A bullet was fired. Hit him in the brain. He falls. He's dying. I felt awful about this. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and wrote down the dreams.
Vaughn was upset by his dream of impending doom. Rather than keep it to himself, he wrote the dream down in a letter and sent it to Dr. Stanley Krippner, then and now a leading authority on dreams.
I asked Stan to please pass on a warning to Kennedy. I really felt that this dream portended Kennedy's assassination. And I wrote, if it happens, I'm going to have it on my conscience, and if it doesn't, I only need to feel a bit foolish.
Dr. Krippner, now a professor at the Saybrook Institute, received Vaughn's dream letter one day before the assassination.
Unless a person has written down a dream in advance of telling it, you can never be sure that they are recalling the dream accurately, or if they are recalling only those aspects of the dream that match the future event or the distant event or what somebody was thinking or doing at the time.
Krippner received the letter on June the 4th. A few hours later, just after midnight, on the June the 5th, Robert Kennedy was shot, and he died a few hours later. When I heard the news, I felt the most incredible agony. I felt guilt, as if I had been a conspirator, that somehow I had foreknowledge of this and had not been able to prevent it. Well, I resolved never more to, if I could, to dream about assassinations or terrible things if I couldn't do anything to prevent it. And so I programmed my subconscious mind to dream about positive things in my own life, things I could, make happen.
After the assassination, Vaughn was invited to join Dr. Krippner's pioneering dream studies. He then went on to author a series of books on the subject of dreams. Man's fascination with dreams is as old as civilization itself. In ancient Egypt, dreams were thought to be messages from the gods to the pharaohs, and the ancient Hebrews saw dreams as a connection between God and those charged with conveying God's word. Yet despite our fascination with dreams, it wasn't until the early 1960s that researchers at the Maimonides Dream Lab in Brooklyn, New York, began a landmark scientific investigation into telepathic dreaming.
One of our best subjects, Mr. Alan Vaughn, who had a dream about the assassination of Robert Kennedy only a few days before the dream actually came true.
Okay, now you can
Researchers tested whether one person could transmit an image to another telepathically through dreams. A sleeper or receiver was isolated in one soundproof room, and an agent or sender in another.
When the electroencephalograph here indicates that you're dreaming, we signal the agent, and he then begins to concentrate on a picture which is chosen randomly. And he attempts to influence your dreams by concentrating on this picture during the time you're dreaming.
After a few minutes, the receiver was awakened and asked to describe his dreams.
Norm?
Yeah?
Will you tell me what's been going through your mind, please?
The only thing that seems to recur is the presence of the color white.
This process was repeated several times throughout the night. Then the receiver was awakened for the final time, and the test results were discussed.
I was aware, very much aware of the color white. A very soft kind of white.
The receiver was then asked to choose the target picture that the sender had been concentrating on from 6 or 7 possibilities.
I would pick this picture first, assuming this is